Hello! In this tutorial, I'm going to help you through completing the IT Recovery Strategy section of your Ready plan. If you click on Work Modules, scroll down and click on Recovery Strategies. You will be at the Recovery Strategies page. This page covers both the business recovery strategies as well as the IT recovery strategies. If you scroll down and click on number 4, IT Recovery Strategies, you will be at the main IT Recovery Strategy section. The main driver behind the IT recovery strategy is the BIA. The BIA will define the IT recovery requirements from your business units in terms of recovery time objective, or RTO, and for applications and systems. Without the BIA results, you will not have a clear definition of what to recover and when. It is highly recommended that you complete the BIA process prior to determining your IT recovery strategy. Of course, other factors will play a part in determining your recovery strategies. Such things as your geographic location, your organization's tolerance for risk, your staff levels and capabilities, budget, and others will all need to be considered when determining your recovery strategies. The bottom line is that your IT recovery strategies will need to meet the requirements as defined in the BIA. Before we go through the IT recovery strategy work module, let's spend a few minutes on some concepts to consider as you begin to think about your IT recovery strategy. The first slide, Time versus Money, shows 3 different graphs. The graph in the top left shows the relation between the cost of the outage, whatever the outage may be to the organization, versus the duration of the outage. Your organization will have already done this as part of the BIA process. As the graph line shows, typically the longer the outage, the more cost impact it has to your organization. The BIA process would have reviewed this and determined the maximum tolerable outage to the business. The RTO would have then been determined based on that value, so you should already have this information. The next graph, in the top right, shows the relation between the cost to recovery versus the time to recover, which has a direct impact on determining your IT recovery strategy. As the graph line shows, you can recover your IT environment very quickly with a high availability strategy, but it will be very expensive to implement. Conversely, if you can push out your recovery time, the cost will usually be much lower. The third graph at the bottom shows where the 2 graph lines from above intersect. This indicates where you will want to focus your IT recovery strategy development efforts. There's no use putting in a high availability strategy if your BIA has determined that a longer recovery time frame, RTO, is required. You need to balance the cost of recovery with the determined recovery requirements. The next slide shows the different recovery options or categories that are available at a high level and when you should consider using them. The 3 different categories, Pre-Stage, Subscribe, and Acquire, are listed down the middle. The RTOs that they relate to are listed inside the colored arrows on the left. So for instance, if you have an RTO or recovery window of minutes to hours, you are more than likely going to need a pre-stage strategy. The dollar signs inside the arrows are indicative of the costs of the strategy pre- and post-disaster, split by the slash sign. So for instance, the pre-stage strategy has 3 dollar signs before the slash and 1 after, indicating that the upfront pre-disaster costs will be high and the post-disaster costs quite low. Compare this strategy to the Acquire category, where you will see that the upfront pre-disaster costs are quite low and the post-disaster costs are high. The Considerations column on the right is indicative of the recovery categories. Pre-stage has dedicated disaster use-only equipment that is up and running at an alternate location and can be accessed immediately. Subscribe is a shared risk type strategy where you might enter into an agreement with a recovery vendor to use their hot site for recovery or to have IT equipment quick shipped to you for a guaranteed delivery. But these services are shared with other organizations, so you share the risk in that what you contract may not be available when you need it. The last category, acquire, carries the highest risk, but has the lowest initial investment. This strategy would be good for easy-to-get commodity-type items like photocopiers, fax machines, etc., and you don't need them for days, weeks, or longer. Another consideration for the acquire category is the fact that it takes much time to organize what you need to acquire at a time when it's quite likely you will be very busy dealing with the problem at hand. The next slide, Examples of Recovery Options, shows some examples of the categories from the previous page, by type or area of recovery, be it IT or the business area. Facility. Where is your IT recovery going to take place? Where are your staff going to go? Technology, as discussed in the previous slide. Data. You need to consider where your backup data is stored and how you are going to get it. Network. How are you going to connect data, servers, users, locations, etc., and HR/voice? How will staff communicate? Not all these are IT recovery strategy specific, nor is it all inclusive, but it gives you some idea as to what your organization must consider. Let's click back to the Recovery Strategy Work module. You should still be at the IT Recovery Strategy section. Have a read through the first section, which is a review of the three main types of IT recovery strategies that we discussed earlier. The next section introduces the concept of having a combination IT recovery strategy. Have a read through this section, but in essence it suggests that not all your recovery strategies will likely be the same. Not all your RTOs will be the same. You could quite likely end up with a combination of all of the three recovery categories depending on your requirements. As an example, you could look at the pre-stage strategy for your most critical or lowest RTO systems and applications, and perhaps supplement that with a subscription to a quick-ship vendor service for the less critical systems, and then acquire the remainder of the non-critical or easily available. The next section, IT Recovery Alternatives, reviews some of the advantages and disadvantages of major options, including do nothing. Please read through this section to get a more detailed understanding of the options and to see what's right for your organization. How do I document my recovery strategies is the next section. As stated, there are some templates to assist you in the document library. Perhaps one of the easiest ways is to use a simple spreadsheet with the results of the BIA listed in one column, followed by the RTOs in the next. This can be sorted by RTO to give you a working document where you can group the RTOs by recovery strategy category. You can then complete each line with what strategy will be used, and then use this as a cost basis estimate. Read through the last section, How do I convert a recovery strategy into a ready plan, which outlines how to move your strategy into a productive state and keep it current. The thing to remember is that the IT recovery strategy that you develop should be driven by the recovery time objectives for critical business activities identified by the business units. You want to discuss the recovery strategy development phase with your advisor. Once you know what IT recovery strategies your organization will implement, you can then go on to the IT recovery section of your Ready Plan. Please ensure that you review your thoughts with your advisor. Thanks, and bye for now.